Hey everybody, Eran here. Welcome to session number 3 and the last one that we're going to do today on the .com Truths Virtual Summit. So this is going to be another session, an encore session with Beth, who's going to take you through lead magnets. Now, we've already done the training yesterday. If you haven't seen it, it is available on the replay page. You're welcome to check it out. So if you haven't seen the replays, you can always grab the replays. I don't think I have a thing, but you could just go to the summit page, the hub, and you'll be able to see the information that you need. So yeah, just go to summit.comtruths.com/hub and you'll see the replays there. Now, Beth is going to take us through more lead magnets, basically. So we got a whole bunch of other submissions, and she's just going to go through one by one and give you feedback. So if you want to learn and get some feedback and see what other people are doing, this is the time and place to do that. So I've literally just finished with Craig, so I just need to make sure that Beth has the link so she can join us live, and we'll start right away. A little bit of housekeeping for you. If you are, if you want to leave it, let me know if you're here live. Leave a little comment for me as well, and yeah, I'd love to know who's here. Let me just send Beth the link so she can join. There you go. Just send her the link. And yeah, you're welcome to obviously share where you're from. And if you submitted your lead magnet, and if you've submitted your lead magnet to me, then you leave a comment just so I can see if somebody who's actually here and submitted their lead magnet, let me know, because I want to do those first. Obviously, who's here. If you're here, we might want to bring you up or whatever. So it will be great if you can be here at the same time. A little bit of housekeeping. So I need to, the replays page gets updated every day, and it's available for 24 hours. And then it automatically disappears, basically. If you want the all access pass, that's still available. You can still grab that. And that's available as well. So again, you just go to the hub. All the details are there. I don't want to harp too much about it. But I really appreciate everybody's participation. I know it's been a long day, so this will be the last session that we'll do. Like I have it on the schedule to do co-working after this. I don't know if anybody's going to stick around to do more co-working. I will be around anyway, so if you do want to do co-working later, you're more than welcome. Just let me know at the very end. But obviously, no obligation. You know, I know this is a lot to take in. We've been through a lot already. But yeah, we'll get started. Beth is going to be here in a moment. Let me just check. Oh, there you go. Hello. Oh, hey, Cheryl. Good to see you. Good to see you. Awesome. Did you submit a lead magnet, Cheryl? I don't remember seeing one. Ah, there you go. Hello.
Hello. I was sitting there just patiently, not realizing I actually had to click enter.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Great to see you. I know people are excited. We have a few people here, but I know that if people are going to love the replay, they really loved it. So we had a lot of great feedback. You've got a. Are you frozen just at my end, or you're? I think you're. If people can leave me a comment to let me know, you're a little bit frozen at my end.
Oh, I am.
Yeah. Maybe turn on the camera. Oh, there. Maybe it's fine. Earlier, it was just an issue at my end, so.
Okay.
Maybe it's fine. If somebody can leave a comment.
Hi, Lisa. Hi, Carmine.
Yeah. Oh, hello, Cheryl's virtual assistant. Awesome. Got it.
Carmine.
Okay.
Beautiful name. Cool.
If somebody can leave a comment and let me know that you can hear Beth just fine.
Yeah, let me know. I'll try to speak up.
Before we dive in, I sent you. Did I send you an email? No, I didn't even hit send. I've got 2 more lead magnets coming your way right now. I just emailed them to
great.
you.
I'll download them real quick. And then,
yeah, it says it's frozen at as well.
Oh dear, that would be me on my end.
Yeah.
I don't have anything big open. Do you want me to restart and pop back in?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. While we do that, I'll just make a quick announcement as well, just so you know a little bit. So I had a chat with Beth. Yeah, she'll come back and she'll restart our computer. So I have a little announcement. So I've spoken to, and this is a little bit of to give you an idea about my membership and what I'm trying to do. And I think it's important to know as well. So there is certain parts of what I do where, like I love getting stuff done. Okay, that's my focus, right? And I was observing, obviously this summit, it's all about testing for me. This is the first time hosting a summit. I'm learning from the experience. And if there's one thing that I am really enjoying is also seeing what people value, because I'm listening to Beth, like she did the session yesterday. And honestly, I'm sitting there listening to her and I'm thinking there is zero chance I'll have that patience level. I mean, her patience level is incredible, right? Incredible. So I just was like, this is so good because I know people value it. And it's something that I can provide it, not to the extreme detail that she does it. And I don't even want to, even if I could. I mean, I could learn, I could be patient like that, but I really don't want to, you know what I mean? I think my skill set is better elsewhere. So I was speaking to Beth and I said, how much is it going to cost me to basically have you in my membership, basically? And what I mean by in my membership, i.e. doing copy review for my members, like what's it going to cost me, basically? If I want to do it once a month, if I want to do it twice a month, if I want to do it like unlimited, or maybe I do it per review, like how would that look? What would that look like, basically? So we're kind of in discussion about that to kind of figure out. She's going to crunch her numbers and she's going to attend the session on the financial goals as well with Phoebe in a couple of days. So she can kind of review, and then we'll figure out if we can do some sort of a joint venture, because I would love to basically, like if I was to have my vision for this membership, my tech support membership, I would love to just be able to have a small monthly fee. Obviously right now it's $55. It's going to go to $99 on the 1st of October, but $55 a month or $99, whichever. But I want to have a copywriter on the team like Beth, who does lead magnets, landing pages, whatever. I'd love to have Elena if I could as well, to have another one. Obviously, I already have Peter. I already have Rose for onboarding. So there is those type of scenarios where I can have more people, because that's just going to add more value. And they do things that I don't want to do, can't do, don't need to do. You know what I mean? Like Peter, for example. And actually, I was going to bring Peter on. I don't know if I want to introduce Peter to you. I don't know if Peter is actually around, but let me just check if he's going to join, if he's able to join. But if you actually bought an all access pass and haven't booked a one-on-one with Peter, go book a one-on-one with him. He's awesome. Okay. He's going to help you set up your Google Analytics. He's going to set up your Facebook pixel, help you connect your domain name, whatever. But he's basically full-time working for me just to be available for my members. And I would love to have somebody like Beth do the same thing. I'd love to also get other different people who could do other things. So that's kind of the idea. Yeah, they're experts at what they do. Oh, yeah, let me just clarify. So yes, Kimmy Evans is going to be rescheduled. She had connectivity issue for the time that we were going to do. So, and then I know that Beth was so popular yesterday, and I know we had more lead magnets to review. And I asked Kimmy, I said, let's just cancel yours for the day. Let's just do Beth, and then we'll reschedule Kimmy for another day. So I'll let you know. I don't know when Kimmy is going to be. I'm still waiting to schedule that. So we'll let you know on that. Thanks, Lisa. Thanks for bringing it up, Lisa. I did want to cover that. But basically, so I'd love to have multiple people do things like that, yeah, because Beth, what she did yesterday and what she's going to do today, she's just better than me. And I would so much, it's just, that's her zone of genius, that's her, what did you say? I think you said it was a bit of like a superpower, so, and that's great, because it's not mine. My superpower is getting stuff done. So if you want to get something launched in the next half hour, I'm your guy. You know what I mean? That's my thing. Just get it out there. But that patience and that, stuff, I just think it's really valuable. So anyway, so there we go. That's my little spiel about that. And we'll discuss that a little bit further. You haven't missed the prize section. Nope, you haven't missed anything. I PayPal'd you the money, Han, by the way. I'm so happy you won. Cool. All right, we'll dive right in. I finished, yapping away. I'll leave it over to you. Yeah, we can see you perfect now. So awesome. Thanks, Han. Thanks for being here. Don, awesome. Don, thanks for being here. Lisa, great to see you. Cindy, great to see you. Lisa, great to see you. Another Lisa, great to see you. Barbara, great to see you again. Leah, awesome. Marcia, awesome. Who else do we have? Wonderful. Okay, awesome.
So can you hear me?
Yeah.
Am I still frozen?
No, you're all good. You're good to go. Yeah, you're good to go. Oh, no, you're right. There was no prize. I totally forgot. Let's do that now, if you don't mind, because I forgot. This is what happens when you don't sleep, people. Friends, not recommended. 1-star review for not sleeping.
Yes. So
Okay,
self-care. You get a not so great for self-care.
No, it's all right. Okay, so let me do the spin the wheel. Shish Shu. Cool.
Wow.
I have no idea who that is, but congratulations. And I will reach out to you on email to get your PayPal. Yeah, lots of Lisas here. Awesome. How many lead magnets do we have? Let's just set some expectations. What do we have today?
Oh, let's see, 4 so far.
Okay.
But
Cool.
they're not quite as long as yesterday. Yeah. And Cindy, can you let me know if I'm as clear as Iran's audio at least?
Yeah,
sometimes I'm a bit of a low speaker, and Iran has a fancier microphone than I have right now.
Yeah.
Sheesh, woohoo.
Yeah, let us know if you can hear properly on the audio as well. Okay. Yeah.
And should I, would it be worth going through those 3 main elements?
Names? Could you tell me the names you have?
I have Anita, Lisa, Leah, and Amy.
Awesome. I'm going to give you one to start with. I really would love to have a different one to start with. It's Sarika. Okay. Reason why it's actually a quiz lead magnet, and I think it's really different. And I'd love to have something a little bit different.
Great. Yes.
I think I posted it in the Google Doc. Double check.
Okay. I have to get to that. Just a second.
It's on the very close to the top, right after Amy.
Oh! Sorry, I thought you meant I was going to my email to find that link.
On the Google Doc, yeah. Yeah, everybody can hear Beth. Awesome. Question yourself. What is your name? Question yourself. I'd love to know your name.
That could be a mystery friend of mine.
Oh, really?
Sounds like their sense of humor. Let's see.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm seeing the live chat. Is there a
let me post it in the Messenger, the Google Doc again.
Harps are the best. Yay. Yes, got my harp. I also have a little harpita that I've played in hospital for people. We're going room to room.
It's very cool.
Yeah. Are you posting?
It's in Messenger for you.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thanks, Han and Hillary, for noticing my giveaway omission. Appreciate it. And then the prize, Hillary, just on the Clip Scribe giveaway, that will be in a couple of days. I'm basically using it as a carrot to get more sales for my All Access Pass. So that'll be in a couple of days. I want to promote it a little bit to get people hopefully to sign up. And I'll see if I can get a couple other little things as well to, add a few more benefits to it as well. So
I know, Sarika. That's awesome.
Yeah. I sent my ABC's podcast lead bank to Beth and Ron's email if you have time. Yep. Awesome. Okay. Can you see it?
Yes. Okay.
Okay. So yeah, go ahead and share screen and then I'll.
Okay. So let's see.
Yeah. Thanks, Hillary. Shout out to everybody that's DMing me. We can't see the screen, microphone, put the microphone close to your mouth, all that stuff. I take all of that, I take criticism quite well. I love getting I'm like, I know I'm not perfect and that's okay. I've got no shame in messing things up, but I also do appreciate the feedback and, I try to learn. So, I appreciate everybody's feedback.
And that stuff, better to, oops, oh my gosh, I might have to, actually, I'm going to close my door real quickly. Can you see the Sarika's?
Yeah, we can see.
All right, just a moment.
Yeah. I wanted to do this one because this is a quiz lead magnet, and I thought it's a little bit different. So I want to do something a little bit different, and then we'll go back to review everyone else's. And basically, so long as you're willing to tolerate Beth and I, we're happy to sit here.
So I literally have a, sounds like someone's been watching football, American football and drinking or something. Some loud friend of a neighbor out there. Very strange. Only Mercury retrograde, right? Okay, so this is Sarika's. Sarika is among other things, a sake specialist and representative, for the art and science of sake brewing and appreciation. So, what sake are you? I would actually kind of change this to what kind of sake are you, or a little bit clearer there. And I like the different colors. I love her graphics, so fun. I would try to darken up her hair a little bit. You can Photoshop that. And not sure if I don't know. I would actually just leave off the descriptions and or just shorten them to maybe rich and comforting or elegant, aromatic, just because there's a lot going on, right? So I get kind of lost, and what you really want are eyes. So this is another thing, everyone. As you're seeing my screen, so different screens will have different resolutions, but as you are seeing the screen right now, it is how it's appearing on my laptop. This is called above the fold. It's an old term from when newspapers were folded over on the newsstand, and whatever above the fold of the newspaper, whatever was visible was above the fold, right? So you want to try to get your call to action, your button, as high up as possible. So this is a little bit low. It's not bad because it's still a nice pink color, because if I scroll down a little bit, pretty much what your eye goes to, hopefully, pretty much first or second, would be the bar that says start the quiz. Okay. And then start quiz, I would probably say takes a minute or something, takes a minute, like in parentheses. So that's just a comment on that. And I love the colorfulness, and I do like that the pink is the most prominent color, right? Because that's where you want the action to be taken. You want our eyes to Oh, it's so cute. You want your eyes to go to that. How are you feeling right now? Don't overthink it. Okay, I want to concentrate. Doesn't hurt that this is a super cute cat. Whoops. Warm children. So everyone, this is an example of an automated quiz, by the way. Obviously not a PDF, right? Warm. Ooh, oh gosh, lately I'd say chilled. And let's see. I'd say red wine. So everyone can see the choices here. Full-bodied. So this is really fun with the clear choices and the really fun graphics, right? Let's see. Light and refreshing food. Sake knowledge. Oh, I would say studying. So this is great. So she has a term, a sake virgin, who's, like doesn't know anything, and an ingenue. I'd say I'm probably studying. Oh gosh. Okay. I'm partial to the cats, but I will choose thoughtful here. Ooh, I'm a ricey, rich junmai sake. So this is fun. I would say aside from, okay, so let's see, this is information. I know this is probably a programmatic thing, but if it's possible, I want to say back in HTML days, this used to be like an iframe, possibly. Iran, what do you think? Like, you might not know HTML because it was so long ago that people actually hand coded like I used to.
Yeah, I don't know HTML.
Yeah, if possible to, because this is a window being nested within the window, it might be necessary. But if possible, if you could like suppress this top, let's see, what's it called? Navigation bar. That would be helpful. It might be easier than getting it in a new window. So, which, programmatically, if you can fix that, not a huge deal because it's, it's still clear. I love it. And then this, maybe like another paragraph break to separate these paragraphs. And this is so fun. If you want to take, P.S. If you want all 6 sake results as a colorful printable PDF, scroll down to the end. And then cheers. And this is nice. She gives a citation here, adapted from the Sake Services Institute, which I believe that Sarika is like affiliated with. Like literally, she like consults for them or gives trainings for them. So she's very, very connected in that world. Let's see. This is a little bit, let's see, it's a little, okay, so this is an example of the printable PDF. Okay, got it. I would almost, Sarika, I would make this smaller. So if you could darken this black font in the middle up, I realize, I'm going right to the PDF and talking about the PDF here, but if possible, darken this black up a little bit, even if it's just for this thumbnail. But I would, just because that's like the, oh wait, no, I'm sorry, that's the profile. Okay, so sake flavor profile is rich sake. So I take it back. This looks like my profile, and then maybe the her PDF in the background. But at any rate, I would make it a little smaller, and that is simply because I'm kind of able to read. And if I feel like, oh, I've gotten enough information, I might not download it, right? So if you make it the thumbnail a little smaller, then my curiosity is more piqued, if that makes sense. And and it also kind of would look more like a book thumbnail. If that, like instead of like a big kind of graphic. like you would have from me. Some get the free 6-page sake guide in your inbox. Thanks for, all right, I love this. So Video Ask, this is a great app, y'all. Thanks for taking this sake quiz. Let me know what sake you were. Did it match your character preference? And then Kampai. Get the free 6-page sake guide in your inbox. I don't know if I'd say 6-page. It's not overwhelming, so it's not good or bad. I would leave off 6-page because it doesn't add. It doesn't kind of add anything. Like it doesn't add anything to like me wanting it or not wanting it. So if it's neutral, just take it out. Or if it's negative, take it out, right? But it's not negative. It just is adding more words. So you could say, get my free sake guide in your inbox, because she is like a personality. So saying my there isn't, is like a good thing. Because I'm like, oh yeah, I want to get her, her sake guide. All 6 sake results, food pairings and ideal glassware and drinking temperature. I would say learn, or I would say like learn sake types plus food pairings plus ideal glassware plus drinking temperature. So instead of all 6 sake results, I would say learn sake types plus sign food pairings, etc. Okay, so let's see. I will. Make sure I'll go ahead and get this. And I don't want to play her her video because I would like you all to take her quiz, and it is at sarikagroup.org/quiz. And you all can take that and do the Video Ask, because it's a really neat app. It literally gives me the chance to, like, if I play this, you'll get her message, and it literally gives me the chance to leave her an audio response, a video response, audio response, or a text. So it's a really neat app for engagement and interaction. Okay, so let's see. Let's see. And Ron, how do I stop sharing? For a second.
There you go.
All right, thanks. Let me grab this quiz. I just don't want to show my inbox and
yeah.
Just for client privacy.
Yeah, of course.
So she's got a great, her email says, I'm so excited and happy to connect with you through sake. Here's the sake flavor profile guide for aromatic, sparkling, aged, refreshing, rich sake, and doburuku. Enjoy. Wishing you a beautiful day, Beth. So she, I will download it and show it to you all. Oh gosh, this PDF file is too big. Okay, so Strika, if you see this, you'll hopefully see this. I'm getting a message. This PDF file is too big. Oh no, it just came through. Okay, it just needed to download, right? And I am downloading that.
I'm sharing my screen. Your screen again, right?
Just a second. Let's see. I'll go ahead and share now. Let's see.
All good to share?
Just a second.
Yeah, ready to share, or?
I am. Let's see. Let me open it. So it is. Yes.
Okay.
Excuse me. I hope you guys can hear me now. And Ron, can you see the guide? Can you hear me and see the guide?
Yeah, all good.
Great, thanks. Oh dear. Okay. Quick sake guide. The font is really interesting, but it's almost too busy. I mean, it's pretty clear though, and so design-wise, there's a lot going on. I would literally take off this, if you all can see it, but these small words are just getting lost. I think it's unnecessary for the cover because I've already downloaded it, right? So you kind of don't have to sell me on what's in it anymore. So I would, it's kind of a standalone. Yeah, you might want this as like a subtitle, but you really kind of have two subtitles here. You have this, so you can enjoy sake even more. And then you have the kind of what's in it. And then even if you do keep the sub, kind of the second subtitle, I would get rid of like charts. So it's just sake flavor profiles, or even sake profiles. Food pairings, get rid of recommendations. Ideal drinking temps. I think most people would know the word temps instead of temperature, to shorten that up. And ideal glassware, you just leave it. So, again, if this were tightened with those, fewer words, that also could work better, right? And then quick sake guide, so you can enjoy sake even more. I would shorten it to, I would actually possibly bring that up. I know you want your brand mark logo here. The Sarika Group is a great brand. But you could almost on the top line say, enjoy sake even more with this quick sake guide, or just enjoy sake even more, quick sake guide, kind of like leads. And then again, we saw an example of this yesterday, where this background of gray is too transparent, and the background is visually fighting with, or I should just say competing maybe, with the text, right, with the font. So the font is nice and clear, even though it's kind of quirky. Like it actually, like, to me, I can read it, fine. So that's the important part. But the background is visually competing with that. So I would do a much more opaque gray for that title. If might actually not have any transparency, so just put the opacity up to like 100 and just kind of play with it. Again, a graphic artist might not love that. They might want to see, that, transparency might look kind of cool, but for actual usability and readability, right, it's not great. So you always have to, like, I mean, I'm biased because I'm the like information person, but you always want to make sure the point, in this case, it's the title and the information here, is getting across as clear as possible. All right, and this is a really lovely picture, very appealing. And heaven sake, I mean, how appealing is that? Oh, it's heavenly. Okay. Sake flavor profiles. Very strong lip sake. Okay. So this is she has a little kind of diagram here with the different quadrants. I think that's pretty clear. Light or strong, simple, complex. I guess I was up here in the strong and complex area for my sake personality. So I actually think that it's really great that she is, giving this citation, probably another word for it, but adapted from the and I don't know if don't know that, is that katakana or kanji? I don't know what that says, but published by the Sake Service Institute. You could actually make that smaller and still, be honoring that I think, especially because it's like the font is bigger than your brand, like the words in your brand mark. So I would make this citation and reference smaller, just because you know, you're still honoring it, but it would be a little less distracting. Let's see. Some of the graphic here is fighting. I don't know if you guys, if you can see where my cursor is, but some of this text, let's see, I can just highlight this, is fighting a little bit with, or competing with the background visually. So that's might be something to work with. This also isn't fitting. Perhaps I would bring this Ginjo. My Japanese pronunciation is not legitimate, everyone. So I'm guessing at the pronunciation, but I would put that word up on that first line to maybe be able to space that a little bit better. This is a little bit hard to read because you've got a square, but the text isn't fitting. So if you could play with that a little bit, but that is a lovely graphic for that fruity profile. So I understand why you'd want that. So for these pages, I would like to see these main phrases a little darker. I actually would like them in black, because when I'm seeing it with the pastel background, it's looking like it's a little bit screened back, they call it in graphic design world. It looks a little screened back, meaning it's not super dark and sharp, and it looks like there's a little bit of like a cloudy screen over it. So I would actually, I know this is kind of like a gray, like a gunmetal gray font color. I would actually bring it up to almost black to stand out more. And the same with these when you have them in the middle, right? Because it's like the main thing. Like this is the aromatic sake page, and then you have your information. Okay, so I would try to, whoops. Again, it's hard to highlight just one thing sometimes in these PDFs, but I would make what I'm highlighting here darker black to really stand out. All right, so again, you know, similar. If you can cut down the pairing ideas, if you can. So instead of pairs with a variety of food, from light and simple cuisine, synergy to rich, I would just cut the text down so it fits a little better. Pairs with light and simple cuisine, right? You could get rid of with a variety of food from. Just say pairs with light and simple cuisine to rich and oily food. And then cuts oil, refreshes palate. You don't have to have all the in-between words for these. We'd still get the idea, because it's, you know, it's just kind of like a, these are kind of like tasting notes, or pairing notes, right? So you can make that a lot smaller. More concise. And yeah, I would just, like with this pairing ideas, would cut that down as much as possible. Let's see. This is a little bit of a tip, an advanced. Forgive me, but it's a little bit of a ninja tip. Sarika and I have kind of joked about the term ninja before, so inside joke. If you all can see, let's see, I'll bump this up a little bit. So this bullet has been what is called full justified. And it just means that the program is going to expand each line so that the right margin and the left margin are flush, okay, are equal. So if we look over to this left side that I'm highlighting, these bullets, all of those bullets are left aligned. Okay, so you have a jagged right hand. I mean, they're bullets, right? They're not long enough to go over to the right margin of that block. Okay, so, but this bullet has been full justified. And these are setting in like Word or what have you, where you have the right aligned, center aligned, left aligned, or full justified. Okay, so this is full justified, but the problem is it is taking that line and spacing it out so that it fits to the whole width of that. So it doesn't look great. So you just want to make sure that all your bullets are left aligned, so you don't have that spacing. Unless you're doing like a report or something really long where you want that even border. But I really would think that most of the time, even if you've got a jagged, unless you're publishing a book, if you've got a jagged right hand margin, it's just kind of like much more natural for us to see the text spaced, like better. So this is an example of where the full justification doesn't, and I'm sure this is just like, I don't think she meant to do that at all, but you definitely want to left align that so that, and you might even be able to take out a word to get that bullet on 2 lines, right? So Bordeaux wine glasses, wide brimmed glass to enhance the richness and umami. I would say wide brimmed glass enhances the richness and umami, and I'd actually take off the commas. You don't need the commas on any of these, on the end of these, so that might get it to 2 lines. You can always play around with that. Okay, so love these different colors, different textures, and I like here. This is a good design choice, right? To point out that she's got a darker background. So the text she switched this text to lighter, okay, to white. Obviously the contrast, like we spoke about yesterday, the contrast wouldn't be great enough to have it be like very readable, very clear, if the font was black on this background. So this white pops much better and it's a lot easier to read. Whereas over here on the right, against the pink, the gunmetal gray font is fine and clear to read. Okay. Let's see. One other font note is that yesterday we also talked about kind of fun or complex fonts being a lot better for headings or bigger text. So this is an example. Her font for her title is great. It's clear enough, and it's interesting and kind of funky and very modern and hip, as Sarika's brand is, like very cosmopolitan, right? So it's great that way. And I would actually be careful of using it. Let's see if I can highlight this here. You can see where I'm highlighting on the left top, fruity, floral, and fragrant. I'll pump it up here. So we have the kind of interesting artsy font, but she's using it, or her designer is using it in a very small font size, and it really doesn't serve the information because it does get harder to read, right? It just kind of is unnecessarily detailed. So I would say, if possible, she's also trying to group this information so that there's a difference between the heading of the profile, name or type, the uplifting aroma, like aroma P line, and then the tip, right? She's trying to differentiate that. So I understand wanting to differentiate, but I would recommend that this font, this small, or that particular font, does not work as well really small. Okay. So So, and this is also a great design point. Like what we're seeing here is a few too many fonts. It's a little too busy. So I mentioned yesterday, you can look up, you can Google font pairs, and those are, you will get a font pair kind of like this interesting type of font with a kind of more simple font. And that is really actually to use as headings or titles and then text. When you have just the body copy, which is just the main type of text of information like paragraph text, kind of like this tip would be just plain paragraph text. It's things that are more than 1 or 2 lines long that you just want to be able to have really clear and read. So you'll have a fun, funky font or just a more interesting font paired with a simple text font. And that is because it would be really hard to read like a whole paragraph of this interesting font, right? It's just a little too busy for our eyes. So I would recommend, if possible, to cut down the amount of fonts in that she's using. Oops, sorry, my elbows moving here. Let's see. So here's one font. Here's 2 fonts, the second font. Here's the third, and this. Here's the 4th and the 5th. I would say that this font here for the sake flavor profile number 1, and actually this might be an unnecessary line altogether because you're stepping us through, I think it was 6 sake types. I don't really think you need to number them for us, the reader. So I would probably get rid of that line altogether. And then the benefit of that is you can maybe, like if you want it to fit, but you might even be able to like make these main titles a little bit bigger. So that's, example of taking out, it's kind of like the sculptor, with like, how do you do this amazing, statue? Well, I take everything that doesn't belong. I remove everything that doesn't belong, right? And then we have the essential information. So I think of it kind of like like stripping out what's unnecessary and what's not serving, like what's not adding. And that's kind of, if you look at each element of your design or information and really say, okay, is this really adding? Like, do we need to know that this is the profile number 1? Not really. I understand that, it's a good way to organize, but if there's only 6, you can just step us through the types and, they're clearly labeled. Okay. Sorry if I'm beleaguering that point, but it really is great to look at things that way when you're creating information resources. Okay, so if possible, I would maybe not maybe just stick with this more simple font for this uplifting aroma, like aromatherapy. It's tough because you want the difference. You want to tier the information. You want them to be separate, but just play with that so you can see what you can do. You might, because this is smaller, you might use this this simple font and just have it be a smaller bolded font so that it's still bolded, but it's smaller than the main profile fruity floral and fragrant title font. Okay, so different ways you can play with weights of font, which is how bold they are, and size of font. That can actually give our eyes the message that this line or these 2 lines, this section is a different type of section than the title, say, or the tip font. So I understand why she's using the funky font there, but again, it's a little bit hard to read. All right, ideal drinking temperature. Okay. So I'm just looking at this ideal drinking temperature. Here, this is pretty simple with the 10 to 15 C or 50 to 59 Fahrenheit. Thank you for the American, the Fahrenheit reference. Yeah, if just wondering how this could be. So, and okay. For this, you might want to say, you might want to bring these numbers actually down in font size a little bit so that you could put cold and then colon, 5 to 15 C. You can maybe use a slash 45 to 50 C. Oh, okay, sorry. So cold 5 to 15 C, warm 45 to 50 C. And so if it's possible, it might be impossible because of the font size, but it took me a while to kind of figure out what you were saying there. But I think you mean like, either cold or warmed. Yeah, and then you have the snow cold and you have the cold and the warm names for the sake. Temperature names, okay, great. So this is a lot of information, which is awesome. Any place that you can cut down the words, I would definitely recommend. So again, this looks like with the pairing ideas, it looks like she's using consistent language without, so I would just cut it down consistently. Pairs with light and simple cuisine, okay, because we understand that's food. You can get rid of that first phrase. And then cuts oil, refreshes palate. Refreshes palate. Yeah, you could, because it's just cuts oil, refreshes palate. You could get away with that. So again, just tightening. Always. Okay, so I'm taking a long time on this. It's a lovely resource. Bonus. Ooh, sparkling sake. Worth mentioning. Okay, so she has a whole 2 pages on sparkling sake. Wonderful. Cheers. Any questions? Okay, Sarika, I would absolutely let us know, the reader, what is my next step? Okay, what would you like me to do next? And then this graphic is great. I'll show you all the whole graphic. Oh, interesting. Shrika, I'm wondering if this is a really for everyone serving people in different countries. This is a really interesting point. She might have designed this for, I think it's called A5. And help me out. I can't see the chat, but we can talk about this. I'll close out and we can talk about this because there are so many great points here. The type of paper, so here in America, oh, you might not be able to see this. I have a page here that I printed out. It says you don't have to get it right, you just have to get it going. And this is on 8.5 by 11 is our standard page. I believe in Europe, or at least in the UK, it's A5, I think it's called. And it is a different size. Actually, that might be even longer. And then these pages are, I don't think they're 8.5 by 11. So, Sarika, you might want to send this to someone like a I don't know what Kennedy uses. I should know this. Everyone, apologize. This is a good point for printing out. And so in the digital world these days, and this is obviously great view digitally, right? But if someone does want to print it out, actually it's super, it's not super, it is fairly, it's kind of medium saturated in terms of color. So this is kind of ink intensive, not completely. It's not like a, oh my gosh, terribly. It's not like, you know, black pages with white font, but it is a little ink intensive. But if someone prints this out, I'm not sure how it's going to print out. So not sure how the pages will be. And it would be a shame if, you know, like the pages got half cut off, like the view that you're seeing right now, like say that, you know, is how it might, you know, just, for example, if that in the US would be the 8x11 and every page got cut in half, you know, like the usability is obviously, you know, poor in that case. So, but for this back page, I would use a different graphic so that you could put the cheers and kampai and a call to action up on top if possible. So I would get kind of a graphic that has the, you know, kind of more interesting visuals down on the bottom, and I would put a block on top because we don't want to wait to the end for your important information. And I would adjust it so that your brand logo was a little lower, but the information block was higher, and you would, you know, cheers, kampai, and then a call to action. What would you like us to do? And again, we spoke of this yesterday, but just to repeat, I would, anyone with a .com or .org, I would not bother with your www. I would take that off because we all are used to recognizing .coms and .orgs as, you know, we know they are websites. If you have like a .info, you know, you might put the http:// but, or the www, but yeah, I mean, because some people have like .net even is probably pretty clear for most people. So just usability group. I love that she capitalized the S in Sarika and the G in group. And for her email, I would love to see that same, you know, info doesn't have to be capitalized, but the S and the G would be nice to be capitalized. And I would give a little bit more space between those lines, right? They're little tight. And actually, I personally would use a clear font. I would use this font up here because it's a lot easier to read than this kind of flattened out wider font, which is fun for, it's just not as great of a reading font again. So there's a reason that we have these really simple fonts, right? If you look at my screen or your computer screen right now and you see these menu fonts, they're all super simple. They're non-serif and they're just really clear, right? For information like her website and like your website and your email and phone numbers too. When people have fonts that the numbers are all funky, like Georgia font, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but the numbers are all like up and down and they kind of fit together weird. It's not as easy to read, right? So for information that you just want us to like recognize, okay, Sarika Group, great. Here, sarikagroup.org. info@sarikagroup.org. I want to email Sarika. I would definitely just leave it in a super simple font. Okay, so there's different types of information, right? There's headings, there's, you know, kind of mid subheadings, and then there's just like information that you want to be super duper clear. All right. So I hope that is helpful, and I'm thinking, you know, think about what kind of call to action. What is that next step? Now she already has that awesome. Let's see if I still have that. Oops. Let's see. I'm seeing, okay. So we'd have to take her quiz again to get back to her page for that app that I showed you. But Sarika has that awesome app. So that is a type of call to action, right? Let me know, you know, like at the end of her quiz, give me feedback, send me a video, text, or audio, and let me know. So that is definitely a call to action. Connect with me. But people can ignore that, right? So, and even if like that's a great call to action for engagement, and I would absolutely still have a next step, right? So once she's in contact with someone through that app, that's a great way to connect with her ideal clients, or hopefully we're her ideal clients. But you also want to give us something in the PDF, and it can be, join my group, check out my Facebook page for my next training, see what our next, group sake chat is going to be on Instagram, like whatever that next thing is going to be. Obviously, you want it to be something that you're actually doing. So you wouldn't want to put a date in your PDF, but it can be, contact me, let's chat, and, whatever it is. So I think I am technically blabbing. Is that the term? And let's get back to the chat and Iran. People,
yeah,
take a breath.
Yeah, let's have a look at what we have. Some comments. A5 is quite small. Yeah. A4 is like
okay, A5 is A4. Yes, so A4 is that one that's a little longer than like the US typical letter size. I mean, it's your letter size. It just happens to be a little longer. I think it's similar width, but just longer. I probably have an A4 notebook around here.
Okay.
So
yeah, and then Canada's always a mix of US and stuff.
Type of things to be aware of when we're marketing to an international audience, which is awesome, right? The world is, we are able to connect so much with people from around the world.
Yeah.
Canada is a mix of, interesting. Canada is a mix, Komai says. Oh, in this case, so Canada does use the same 8.5 by 11. And then can you avoid this issue by having a printable version somewhere on the page? Yes, you can. I would probably put that link at the very top so people would see it. So don't hide it. Go ahead and put it like at the very top of, yeah. But that's, yeah, it can be tough because if you link to a PDF, yeah, it depends upon how you do it. Thank you, Lisa. Okay. Han, thank you. A4 is narrower. Most printers can automatically reformat to printed page. Great to know too. Yeah, but if you saw the proportions of that wasn't going to size to an A4. So it'd be interesting to see. Maybe it does print it out and just has like a white space underneath because, obviously printers are getting, smarter as we get more international, right? Or I'm sure they have gotten smarter, I assume. So anyone else have any questions? Oh, Dimitra, that's great. I try to offer low ink printable versions.
Very smart.
It really is, yeah. And Dimitra, I thought your resources were, not super ink intensive. You had some darker borders, but yeah, it's nice. I mean, it's just kind of nice to think about. I've seen some like literally like where almost like the whole background is black and there's like lighter font and it's like, wow. Like say goodbye to your black ink cartridge,
It's true. You don't think about it until you think about it, and you're like, oh yeah, that's really stupid.
Yeah, it's
just one of those things.
Usability, absolutely. And I mean, some things and some audiences are going to be, they're never going to print anything out. If you're serving very young people who aren't necessarily students that have to print something out to take to the library or even that, they'll probably have, their phone or tablet or something with them. So, but like literally, if you have like your audience never prints stuff out, it might not be a thing you even have to worry about.
Yeah, totally.
How do you provide low ink printable versions? It's actually, you would just design it, I believe, as a lighter version.
Yeah, just like background needs to be white, basically. So you would use the text. You just make it so the background is not like super dark or something. You know, just make it. Yeah. Do you start with? So there is a software to, if you want to lock your PDF content, you can go to a website called tinywow.com.
Tiny, you're a little bit far, I think, from the microphone again, Aaron.
Oh,
yeah, great.
You can go to a website called tinywow.com, and that will, you can lock your PDF there, like you create password protected. So you can check that out. Literally, like you hear the word tiny and wow.com. So yeah, it's a really cool website. It's got a bazillion little things, and one of them is protecting your PDFs. And I think there is a watermark feature. And also with Watermark, you can, like if you want to watermark your PDF, let's say you're creating it on Canva, you could just create whatever the watermark is and make it transparent, basically. But not fully transparent, but a percentage of it, like, 10 or depending on the color, but, 10 or 40 or whatever, the transparency. If you want, I can definitely do a watermark tutorial. It's actually a really good point. I could do a little watermark tutorial.
But I would say that's going to be visible, right?
Yeah, that's right. It's going to be visible, but like on the background, so it's like this, cross or something like that.
Right. I would actually say that it's going to look
tacky,
I think.
Yeah, totally.
It's kind of like if people use stock photos and they leave the watermark on the stock photo, it's like, oh, that's not good.
But Hillary, check tinywow.com. That's number one. And yeah.
And
if you really need this, yeah.
And then Dimitri says,
yep.
If you'd like a low ink printable version. Yeah, that's lovely.
Yeah. Never thought about the printable version. That's right.
And then for workbook or coaching programs, it's easy to get caught up in fancy design.
Yeah.
Rather than thinking about being user friendly, and it's super easy to get caught up. And believe me, your designers will. I literally have a good friend who's an amazing designer, and she said, different ways different people's brains work. She said, I'll be working on a flyer. This is just a flyer for like a half an hour, 45 minutes before it registers to me, before I actually read the words, before she actually reads like what the flyer is about, because she is so looking at the words just as shapes and colors. And I'm like, wow, that is so fascinating. How different. So your designers are not necessarily going to be thinking about all these practical things because they're, designing these beautiful things, and you really have to balance. And I would say, I'm biased, way heavily, unless your business is about design. In which case, like even interior designer, a stylist, that kind of thing, you want to make sure that you have whatever, your brand is. Like you want that elegance, you want that, that cosmopolitan, you want the hip, whatever it is. If you're doing cottagecore, or what was the last term I heard? Coastal grandmother. Can you believe that's a style thing? Coastal grandmother. I'm like, Anyway, if you're doing coastal grandmother, brand, then your design can be a different way, right? But for an awful lot of us, we're just going to want to err on the super clear than the kind of fancy or funky design. And it doesn't even have to be funky, but like design that doesn't serve the information as much.
Yeah.
Great.
I love colors for my PDFs, but it doesn't make sense for printing. Try to make very skinny lines of light color, if anything. Yep, I agree.
Yeah, and Dimitri, your information and your resources were really clear, and and I like how simple. Also, not simple like, I mean, it wasn't simplistic, but I like your logo because it was really clear, even though it was designed. So it's all a balance. All right, great.
Watermark tutorial. Yep, I'll make it. I'll add it to my list, and I'll get it done at some point, for sure.
And, I do want to highlight, at a certain point, we're putting our information out in the world, and I would want to kind of float the idea that yes, we're putting out our own intellectual property, our own information. We are invested in all the time it took to get that information, develop our expertise, and to create our resources. And I really don't think it serves us in the long run to be really afraid of people taking our information. It is kind of something that you might consider letting go of when you're putting your information out in the world. What people are going to connect to is, yes, your information, but they're going to connect to you being the energy behind that information. They're going to connect to you as the expert and to you as the authority and to your particular style. I am going to be presenting this information in an entirely different way than, say, Russell Brunson, if you know who Russell is. I'm not sure if everyone does, but, or say, I don't know.
Tony Robbins or whatever.
Tony Robbins, like giving a talk on copywriting, right? So the energy, your personality, the mix of all the things that you know and you bring to your work is really, that is your watermark. That is your signature, right? That is like, no one else is going to have that combination and that kind of energetic tone. And I'm speaking in kind of woo-woo terms here, but literally, no one's going to have your tone. No one's going to write the same way. No one's going to present things the same way. No one's going to have your unique voice, whether that be sound or the information you put out in print.
Yeah, totally.
So
cool.
Think about that too. I understand the watermark concern, but
yeah. I love how gentle you put it. I'd probably take 3 seconds to say, don't worry about it. Just it's all good. There's nothing original. If it's nothing proprietary, don't worry about it.
Everything is, what do they say?
And Beth is just so much more, just got that gentle touch. That's why I'm like, Beth, I'd like to just hire you to do certain parts, but there's just not, you just bring something else to the table that I can't bring. So I love that. So
yeah, but the short and sweet and to the point and the tough love is
yeah, totally. I'm the punch in the face approach, versus you do the cuddle, which is great. I love that.
I don't think you're punching. I think you're
but you know what I mean. It's very good. It's very good.
You're like in Italian, basta.
Basta. That's right. I'm gonna try a little feature here on Wave. I hope you don't mind. I want to give a little love to Beth here for her amazing feedback so far.
It kind of sounds like you have a chipmunk audience there.
I know, right? And then are we ready to do the next one? Do we have another lead magnet?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And then while we're getting ready for that, I'd like a little drum roll for that. And here we are with the next PDF. Sorry, I'm exploring Wave video. I hope you bear with me here as I'm playing with it like a little kid.
That's awesome. Okay, let's see.
Some nice comments here. Thank you so much, Beth and Aran's gonna find a comment on YouTube.
Thank you.
Oh, I think that is Sarika, I think, who left this comment. Let me just double check.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
it's
think
Sarika.
so. Hey, Sarika. I think so.
That was Sarika's comment, this one. So she says, can you see it?
Oh, yes, definitely. Awesome.
Okay,
Thank you, Sarika.
this is from Sarika.
Yeah, I think Sarika's more on IG than probably.
Yeah.
More on Instagram.
Yeah.
Sarika, I love the energy of your information and what you're putting out. So such a fun mix of like cosmopolitan and fun. You know, you bring a lot of light and elegant energy put together. It's really great.
Yeah. Oh, we'll move to the next one.
Okay. So if you, have the next PDF up. If you'd like to.
It's available. It's shown.
It's showing. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. So wanted to review Lisa's because she tried to get it to me yesterday and I did not get it. So Lisa, I hope you're here, or sorry, Leah, hope you're seeing this on a replay. Let's see. So I'm not sure about you all, but this is looking fairly fuzzy. Do you see what I mean there? It looks a little like not crisp. Oh, I know why. So Leah, you had this in Canva, and this is saved out as a PDF. So this, I believe, would be it's allowing me to select the text, which is interesting. I'm just wondering if there's an issue because when you save Canva's like a graphic thing, when you save it out as PDF, I'm wondering if it's just not as crispy as other programs. Aran, do you see what I mean? How?
Yeah, there's a couple of things with Canva. So you can actually control the size of the PDF when you export it. And it's possible. So when there's a way to export as a small PDF, which means it's going to be lower resolution, and a standard PDF, which will be higher resolution, and also the size of the PDF. So you may want to explore when you downloaded it, you might want to download it in a higher resolution. So it's not as light, basically.
So we'll just assume that this will be crisper, like the resolution will be higher. So we'll just ignore that for now. And Ron, can you repeat small? And did you say standard and high res?
Small and standard PDF, but you can also resize it in either one of these. You can resize it in terms of the size. So you can actually control that.
I think this is like an 8.5 by 11.
Yeah. But the pixelation you can actually control, so it's got more pixel.
Right. So that's what we're talking about, everyone, is resolution, which is literally how much information is in the image, and that makes the file size bigger. So that's why sometimes you create something and you're like, holy cow, this PDF is like 8 megabytes, you know? And so sometimes you want to make it a smaller file, and the way that the program does that is it takes out information. So it literally takes out the amount of pixels per square inch. So the resolution is what we call lower resolution, lo-fi if you're in the audio world. So it's not as clear. And this is the case where obviously this word checklist down here in this purple, you know, that's plenty clear. But when you look at this font, this is what you want to watch for. It's a little bit too low resolution. It just doesn't look as clear. So font-wise, so here we have a serif font. It has these little, I'm like leaning into my screen. It has the little serifs on the ends of the letters. That's called a serif font. And then down here, all these bullets are in a non-serif font. And again, non-serif fonts are much clearer to read online, or like in a PDF that we're going to be looking at on our phone, anything online, right? Anything digital, on our phones, on our tablets, on our laptops or computer screens. And it doesn't really matter how good your screen is if the resource, if the PDF or Word doc or whatever, Word docs, PDFs or JPEGs, GIFs, if they are low resolution, it'll be fuzzy, a little bit fuzzy like this. So here we have this design that's kind of like everything's really centered, which sometimes serves and sometimes doesn't. We also have, here's a kind of advanced design tip. This title is a little bit close to this next element, which is the gray bar with the subtitle. The other thing too is that this font and color is very different than the subtitle. So in terms of the information design, it doesn't kind of stick together. It's super different. Our like psychologically, we're looking at that as like two very different things, and it doesn't really kind of go together. Wondering, Leah, if you could shorten the title. It would serve, it would be easier to market this, and it would be easier graphically. So anytime you have like a really long thing that you're marketing, it's kind of awkward because you're always like kind of, unless it's a subtitle, you want the title to be as short as possible. Narcissistic breakup / divorce recovery checklist. I'm just thinking. I will think, Leah, on how you might rephrase, because the issues here are narcissistic is really, really, really key, because that is a very particular issue and psychological profile and dynamic in relationships that is super challenging, and she specializes in this, right? So that is, we have keywords that you need in your resources. Breakup and divorce is indicating that you don't have to necessarily be married to have a really damaging relationship and breakup with a narcissistic personality disorder person. And recovery checklist. Recovery is important as well. So anyway, I'm thinking out loud, but this is the kind of process that you want. It's like, are all these words absolutely, absolutely necessary? Are they critical? Leah, we might, let's chat and see if we can kind of tighten this, because it really would serve your marketing if you could somehow tighten that. A divorce is a breakup, but it is very specific, right? So also, she is going to have experience with, hopefully, I'm assuming, Leah, I know, Leah, you have an expert background in this. But in terms of knowing, so she has experience, but in terms of knowing the words and the terms that your ideal market, that your ideal clients relate to, right? There are certain keywords that people are going to be searching on, and those are going to be super critical, obviously, to use in your resources, right? And in your titling. So, the essential guide to heal from narcissistic abuse. I might even change that to how to heal from narcissistic abuse. like just really kind of tighten it down to how to heal from narcissistic abuse. Because this is 2 pages, I would take out guide, again, how we position things. It's a checklist. I would take out guide because we kind of think of guides as longer things, just in general when we talk about guides. This is a great example of a paragraph of text that is fully justified. So we have the even margins on each side. And although it's a design choice, probably would look odd here because all these elements so far have been centered. But I would suggest 2 things. You could left align it, but you can see this top line. I'm getting into the weeds, but just to illustrate, this top line is very spaced out because the word relationship doesn't fit on that top line, right? So this line gets stretched. And I personally don't find fully justified text that easy to read. When you are looking at a novel or a nonfiction book that has been printed on, like just, hardback book or even a softcover, they actually do all sorts of adjustments within lines and within literally the spacing of the words and even the letters that we're not doing here on this level of design. So they actually, a publisher will make it easier to read in a book that, then we're not making those fine adjustments. You can, but it's very advanced and most graphic artists don't, well, some do kerning for sure. So anyway, kerning and leading is the thing. Leading is the spacing between lines, kerning is the spacing between letters. So we talking about getting in the weeds, I will stop on my semi-masterclass of font design and layout. But in this case, I just don't think it serves. I would try to left align it. The other thing is that this heading is in a font. So a serif font is okay to use for titles and headings, right? Because it's big and it's easy to read, because the font size and this title is pretty big and easy to read. But what makes this a little harder to read is that it's a white font on a darker background, a colored background, and it is thin. So you'll see this when you print things out. White font on a colored background like this will look even thinner. Like if you printed this out on your printer, it would actually be really hard to read just because the color tends to bleed into that white space of the font. So what you really want to watch with this is, I would bold that to see what it looks like. And the other thing is, because this isn't the idea of grouping, and this is really advanced, everyone, but I would go in and make the spacing, the line spacing, which is called leading, but in like Word, it will be called line spacing. And I'm sure you can adjust this in Canva. I would make the space between the lines of just these 3 lines on top smaller. So I decrease the space because my mind looks at, my eyes see it, it's really your mind, my mind sees it as narcissistic, next line, breakup, divorce, next line, recovery checklist. Okay. So, and looks like recovery checklist, that line is actually in a larger font. No, maybe not. Anyway, no, it's probably not. I'm looking at the O's. I'm used to seeing 1 or 2, what do you call it? Font size differences and things. So I'm used to looking at things I spot things like that, but I'm thinking I'm just looking at the C and the O and they look bigger compared to breakup. So getting back to my point, sorry. when you have lines that aren't kind of sticking together as information, you want to tighten up the line spacing so that our brain groups it together as like, oh, that's a title. Okay. So again, shorter would be a little easier for us to read because of the long lines and because it's centered, but I would make that bold and tighten up the line spacing. And the other thing too is that there's a reason in design, as we see in this block of text, this kind of subtitle, there's a reason that designers leave a lot of space around text. So we're not seeing really kind of enough space under that last line of recovery checklist. It's like kind of bumping up against that element of this gray square or rectangle. Okay, so my point being, it's hard to follow this, I'm sorry. My point being that we want to group things that go together. So a title where we want all the words to be read as one title, we want to scrunch them up together and have them a little farther away from the next design element, whether that be a graphic or, in this case, a box of text. And going to this font on the paragraph, I realized design-wise you might want to keep it full justified, but I would play with possibly left aligning it. The other thing, yeah, okay, and second point, this is too long to be in a serif font. It's harder to read in the serif font. So I would change it to this type of font like your bullets, but just make it in the bigger font size, and that will separate it a little bit. Okay. This paragraph and checklist box are a little close together again. So, and the other thing, this is an advanced tip. If we see, let's see, I cannot highlight what I want to highlight here, but if you look at the box that subtitle is in, The Essential Guide to Heal from Narcissistic Abuse, if you look at the box that text is in and the paragraph below it, what do we see? We're seeing they're even, right? They are one block. Now, design-wise, that is pleasant to have them be all aligned, but it doesn't help the information stand out. So our mind is more interested in things that change. So actually having that paragraph line up with that gray box above it is actually not great, because it's really easy to scan down to the word checklist. It's really easy for us to go, okay, a bunch of text, checklist, and then maybe start looking at the bullet points. So this is a short resource. People who are interested in it are probably going to read the paragraph, but I am just pointing that out because in your landing pages, say, if you have everything that is lined up, it might actually not be as easy to read and as interesting for our eyes. So you actually don't want blocks of things. You want, like, sometimes that jagged margin on the right might feel more organic. Sometimes bringing the margin of this paragraph in a little bit so it's not exactly lined up actually is going to serve us for reading. So we play with all that. Leah, I like these bullets. And I would suggest, and I am such, like when I write emails and things, I am such a fan of parentheses. I'm like parenthetical queen. And it can clarify things, but what I'm seeing here are a lot of slashes, these forward slash and parentheses and ampersands. And they're a little bit busy and distracting. So when possible, like for instance, there is no reason to do the W/ instead of write out the word with. So in this case, it doesn't serve your information, right? Just write out the word with, and I would get rid of these parentheses. Seek legal counsel from attorney, narcissistic specialization. Oh, sorry. See, actually didn't read the with as the word with. So seek legal counsel from attorney with narcissistic specialization if needed. And I just told you all that we want things to be a little different for our eyes. But this instance, in this form of information, we want your eye to read it as smoothly as possible because it's a sentence. It's kind of a phrase, but it's basically a sentence. So I would actually take out those things that make it not flow. Okay. So you spell out with, because you have the space, right? Spell out with and take out the parentheses. And actually, another information design thing that helps our brains is as we're reading, we see a slight space in between the bullets, right? That's great because it helps us, again, group the information visually. But what would help us even more is putting a period at the end of each phrase or bullet. In this case, in this bullet, I hope this is big enough for everyone to read. Join support group or community. And then because you want to set off this membership coming soon, you could just remove the parentheses and put this comma. Yeah, it looks like a dash or a comma would work here. You might put a dash. Membership coming soon, exclamation point, no need for the parentheses, and no need for a period, right? You already have the exclamation point. It tells us that that's like one, it's again, a way of grouping. When we see periods, our brain knows that that's a group. That's a sentence. These are really little things, but they really help, like when you're scanning. I think we might have a small case of expertitis. Is that what we called it yesterday? This bullet says, see psychiatrist if need psychotropic medications or holistic psych if prefer natural solutions for anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress. I would take out the word psychotropic because for me as a consumer, as a potential client, medications is very clear. I don't need to know that they're psychotropic medications. That is a kind of an insider term. That's a technical term, and that's something that you would see. Leah, when you're speaking to a colleague, you might use that term absolutely appropriately, right? But when speaking to the user, totally unnecessary, right? Medications. That's super clear. Okay, so just keep in mind like what words can be taken out and still, like there's no liability with saying medications instead of psychotropic medications in this case, right? To me, they're all the same. To the reader, they're going to be the same. Hoovering. This brings up a really awesome point. Speaking of language that varies, from country to country and sometimes continent to continent, depending on how specific it is. Hoovering is, I don't think, a term that most Americans use. I actually love it because it's so, I hoovered up my lunch, which is not the correct usage of it, but it basically means to like vacuum up. Hoover being a brand name of vacuum. So hoovering, at least as far as I'm taking this, Leah, I hope I'm taking thinking of the term correctly, but it might be different. Hoovering attempts to get you back and avoid them. Oh, might be hovering. So unclear. At any rate, if it's hoovering, Americans might not know that term if it's meaning like a term for vacuuming, but they might be like, sucking you back in, right? Like the tentacles of a narcissistic personality. And I don't mean to make light of that. Really like they might be, kind of what's the Star Wars term? The thing that drags you into the Death Star. Definitely. So again, if it's hovering, it's probably not hovering. I think it's hoovering. Now that I'm thinking about hoovering attempts. So again, this is an example of something that might not translate that well. I took a course from an amazing teacher on finances, and she's in South Africa, and she talks about dosh all the time. And dosh is cash, moolah. Like to Americans, it would be cash. It's kind of like a slang word for money. But I don't think I'd ever seen dosh in America. And a lot of her, she was marketing a lot to North America. So things like that, just might want to watch. You can even have someone from like your ideal client. Like, I am not saying that you have to cater to North Americans. I am just saying that I've noticed a lot of people selling in the digital space do have a large part of their ideal clients and client base, or their large amount of their marketing to North Americans. So that is just, if that's the case for you, just have someone who is like somebody who's not multicultural, or someone who notices those things, like myself, or kind of like a word person, just run it by someone, and hey, are there any like turns of phrases or words that you're not familiar with, or just kind of seem odd, or something that's completely foreign, or really not the way, again, only if you're primarily marketing to North America. Here we have co-parenting is hyphenated. But I would suggest that because you have the room, I would force that return. And by the way, if you want to force a return in a paragraph without doing an actual paragraph space, you do shift and return. So shift, hit return, and that'll push that part of co-parenting down to that second line. It would be easier for us to read if the co-parenting and coworkers were together. Okay. The other thing too is that I'm seeing a lot of terms that are capitalized, but not all the words are capitalized. I would suggest that for me, if this were my resource, I would not capitalize anything unless you are trying to call it out. So say I was a holistic psychiatrist. I would probably lowercase psychiatrist here. I would lowercase psychotropic medications, and I would spell out holistic psychiatrist if that were my specialty, because I am elevating that title of holistic psychiatrist in the reader's mind. because it's capitalized. It's like like in English, we capitalize titles and important things. So it's a very subtle but effective psychological way to draw attention and elevate a term. If you're speaking about your clients in a resource, like say your term when you refer to clients is heart-centered entrepreneurs, you might capitalize that. Get into the habit of capitalizing it whenever you write it in a resource, if that's like a part of your brand, because you are elevating that and you're also kind of emphasizing it. So I would take out all of these capital letters. I would also hyphenate ex-partner. Just little details. Yeah, I would. It's going to make it easier to read to lowercase. Everything but just very important. And this note here with the psychiatrist versus psych, holistic psych. To you, you know what a holistic psych is, but to me, I don't automatically know that you're talking about a holistic psychiatrist. So keep your terminology, I would say user-friendly, and I would say spell it out in that case. Okay. So again, getting into the weeds, but hopefully this will support you when creating your information. Here we have a website. So Leah, this is advanced, but there is a way of making the text in your PDF still be linking to, let's see, sorry, as I'm mousing over it, let me make this bigger. So this is for everyone. There is a way, I'm almost positive in Canva, Iran, don't you think this probably would be the case, that you can have the text on this page say just leahpetrucci.com / and the URL, but it actually, the link works to be a real full, because you in the coding it has to go to the full URL, right? The computer needs to know the https://www. Okay, so
you can hyperlink. Basically, you can actually create like a bubble button, so it looks like an actual button.
Oh,
and
nice.
then put the text inside and then hyperlink it. And you can even remove it so it doesn't have the underline, basically.
Yes, yeah, so that's another thing, yeah.
So and you can do that.
Great, that's a great point. I really like the button idea. Yeah. Because then the whole button, right, can be linked.
Yeah, you can link it, and then you can also turn it into like a bubble that is what do you call it? Like a hard shadow, so it actually pops up a little bit and stands out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. So a little bit of a shadow around the button, just a little bit around the shape, like if Leah wanted to do like an oval here.
Yeah.
And so it's more like a button. So, and I would, because this is information that we just want to be able to read really clearly, I would for sure take off the underline and put it in a very simple non-serif font again. And yeah, make sure that that's white, because I don't think that font is actually white. It might be, but make sure the font is white so that you have that real good contrast behind with the white and that blue, or just darken up the blue like a little bit. Okay, I'm going to zoom out so we can see the second page. Okay, so this is another design point. Graphically, as we are scrolling through, I want you to scroll through with me and look at the tone of the colors, okay, and the color use here. And these, I have to say, blue is a color of trust, right? Leah is helping people who have had their trust betrayed. I'm getting chills. Leah, you're doing really important work. So, and blue is really lovely here. It's blue is definitely a color of trust. Just I'm repeating myself, but different colors literally have different psychological impacts. But getting back to this tone idea, if we scroll through, we get to the second page, and boom, what I'm suggesting happens here to my eye is that all of a sudden we have a fairly saturated graphic picture. And I would suggest that it doesn't really match the tone of what came before. So I personally would actually darken up the blue on the top header. Even though it's not as printer friendly, it's not the whole page, I would darken it up a little bit and play with that. Play with this checklist block. Oh, and make sure that the word checklist is centered within that box. It looks like it's over to the left a little bit. Again, no one else is probably going to notice this, but it's kind of a nice thing to do when you do your design. Make sure things are centered within the element they're in. If it's a word within a box. So you could do what you call screen this back a little bit, kind of make it a little bit not cloudy, but I don't know, it's called screen back in graphics term, but it would be like a little bit less bright. But I like the visual, and I like seeing it like this. So a way to balance it out might be to make your font a darker gray or almost black or black. So you might want to play with that. Because, again, we were talking about contrast. I'm sorry I'm going kind of back and forth, but this font, and everyone's like, well, I just went into Canva and I took this template, right? So Canva is creating these templates, but you can change everything in the template. So, Leah, I would suggest making the font of all your main body text, which is all this information kind of text, a little darker, if not black. It's going to pop a little bit. It's not going to be quite as like soft, but because of this gray background, I think it would serve. So you can just play with that. It might be the case, I'm not sure if Canva has this fine of tuning, but you might be able to make it just a little bit darker gray and still have a slight softening and not have it be absolutely black. So play with that, you all. And again, here we have the gray font. I don't think it really serves. Now keep in mind, if you do change the gray font to black on this second page, it's going to look very different from your first page, so you don't want it to be mismatched. But again, I'm looking at the really dark picture and it doesn't match the tone, right? So, and I do like the picture. I like this, the dark next steps. And here we see left justified. And we have this button like Iran was talking about, like making this into a button that, you can make her, and okay, getting ahead of myself. We see this margin issue here. I was talking earlier about how text, always you want a certain amount of kind of cushion of white space around text. And that's what you'll see in kind of like advanced design. So I definitely would, I think you have some space here. you can do a few things. If I would, for sure, bring this left margin in so you have a little bit more space. Make the space a little bit more equal to the margin of white, the, what do you call it? Yeah, your margin of white on the left. Make it a little bit equal to the margin on the left. Sorry, did I say right versus left? Bring the margin on the left in a little bit so there's more white space on the left. And if this makes, if it makes the lines, if it increases the number of lines of text on this page, you can make the space in between the paragraphs smaller. All right, everyone, this is really advanced layout stuff. But you can see sometimes under paragraph, I'm not sure where it is in Canva. I haven't been in Canva in a while, but you can fiddle with all this stuff. I know you can change that. It might be the space after the paragraphs. There might be an actual line return in between, and you can actually select that line, even though there's no font on it, and you can decrease the size of that line so the paragraphs will get closer together. Because you don't want them super tight, but they're a little bit farther apart. They'll still be grouped if you decrease the space in between them. So if you're worried about like, oh, now my text doesn't fit on the page, you can play with things like that. You can also, I'm not sure if you can in Canva. Oh yeah, you should be able to. In Word, it's not obvious, but you can highlight the font size when you're changing it. You can actually go up to the little font size selection window, and you can type in things like 10.5. So you can do half a font size. And when you're dealing with a couple paragraphs of text, that actually might be the in-between size that you need for it to fit just like you want it. So there's all these like little ways you can fiddle and futz with font size and that kind of thing that aren't obvious, right? So, okay, so I would try to reword this, Leah, if you can, because I would try to address the reader. And I think it would be safe if someone downloaded this to literally say, your healing from a narcissistic partner can be a complex task involving many aspects of recovery. I would make it a little bit more personal. And I know that sometimes health professionals, mental health professionals are careful about their language, but I don't think this is, like you're not saying, you will heal, or, you're not making any kind of claims. So I'm keeping that in mind when I'm giving advice, because a lot of people have to be very careful about the kind of language they use, in terms of, promises for healing and that kind of thing. You have to be careful. So as a therapist serving Florida residents, my license only covers Florida at this time. Leah, unless you've had a lot of people pinging you, they might be pinging you, and you might need to keep that in. Unless you've had a lot of people, you might want to, you could change that to, as a therapist licensed in Florida. I like serving Florida residents, but unless you've had a lot of people asking you, I would get rid of that parenthetical phrase. But, and I would combine as a narcissistic recovery coach and therapist, serving Florida residents, if you can, without making it sound like, I'm not sure if you can combine those. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, everyone, I'm sorry. This is what happens when this is live TV here. She is saying that she's a therapist serving Florida residents, and that she's a narcissistic recovery coach serving the rest of the online world. Got it, Leah. I understand this. This is why it's important to explain that. So I would still bring your call to action. Why I'm wondering about this all is I'm trying to bring your call to action further up, because for everyone, when we leave things to the end of a lot of text, we are assuming that our lovely prospective client is going to read all of our text. And unfortunately, if that were me, I would be reading all your text because I want to hear everything that you say, and I'm a reader. But by far, most people are going to be scanning and skimming. So you really want to get the meaty, important stuff, the actionable thing, as high up as you can. So if you I know you can, Leah, but I would take the time to I would probably, after the first sentence, how about this? Healing from a narcissistic partner can be a complex task involving many aspects of recovery. Or your healing from a narcissistic partner can be. And then I would literally say, I invite you to schedule a free consultation with me. We'll, hop on a phone call or a Zoom, because you want to be, if someone doesn't want to show their face, you want to honor that. And, discuss where you're at and what the most healing thing to focus on next is. So you don't have to talk about your whole program, right? What is your next step? I want to see where you're at. I want to listen to you, right? I want to, what do therapists do, right? And coaches, they listen, they hold space for you. And so that idea of want to see where you're at, you can let me know where you're coming from. You can really, really get out of the kind of technical way of speaking. And if you're comfortable with it, I know it's hard to get into this conversational tone when we're writing, but as conversationally as you can, invite them to schedule a free call or consultation. I guess you can call it a consultation. I guess technically you might have to, but just let them know that we can discuss where you're at and what are your next best steps, or what you need. Actually, from yesterday, that was it. And let's discuss, what the most important thing is for you right now, or what, what's your greatest need right now. Anyway, you can play with that. But an invitation early on this page would be much more effective. Okay, that's for everyone. I love the next steps. Heading, it's great. And then talking about my services. And I would actually say I offer or I provide individual group coaching. So kind of all this language that I'm rephrasing is a little bit more active, right? I provide, not just kind of my services include, okay? Where I provide, I am a resource. Look at the kind of language we're using in how we are explaining what we do. I also offer a monthly membership, which is a supportive community of women recovering from breakup or divorce. You might even rephrase, and you are welcome to explore my monthly membership. Well, that sounds like you're giving it away free. So you can also welcome people into my monthly membership, which is a supportive community for women recovering from breakup or divorce. So just kind of like maybe warm up the language a little bit. Okay. So here we see, I want to highlight this because this is challenging, right? I spoke in my presentation yesterday about the importance of one call to action. And we want to let people know what we're doing, right? So we want to, like, we have their attention if they're reading the third paragraph on the last page. Ooh, no, as we would say in Italian, magari, like we're hoping that they are. And here, Leah explains her membership. Each month, group members receive new digital education resources and social connection activities to help progress through the goals on this checklist and more, while receiving step-by-step coaching and support from the community throughout the process. Right? That sounds lovely. And we want people to get on the phone with you or Zoom. So I would probably take that out. You already mentioned the membership, support a community for women recovering from breakup or divorce, period. And then paragraph break. So another conversational line like, I would love to connect with you. I welcome you to schedule, I invite you to schedule your free consultation with me, okay? Because there will be some text between the first time you invite and the second time. And this button is a great idea. Definitely take off the underline. And it's underlined probably because it's a link, but we want to take that off. And counseling or coaching, I would definitely say, and Leah, if you can possibly get away with it, like in terms of, I know everyone, if you're not a licensed practitioner, like health practitioner or whatever, like the licensure and boundaries are really, really strict. So Leah might have to say or here. But if you can throw an ampersand in there on this one, I would put coaching, ampersand coaching, or sorry, counseling, ampersand coaching. So, and I make the button a little bigger. All right, phew. This is my world, and I'm glad you're visiting, and hope it's helpful. Ron, shall we take a breather?
Amazing. So.
Oh, Cormay.
Can you hear me?
Yes. If you're a little bit far from the.
Oh, okay. Yep.
I hear the chipmunks.
Shout out to Beth for awesome feedback, super detailed. Let's read some comments quickly. So Leah said, "This is great. Thank you so much."
Awesome, Leah. Thank you. You're doing God's work.
Yes, so important. So important. By the way, could you see my logo at the bottom next to the .com truth, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
The reason for this logo is the domino effect, right? Like that's the concept of the logo, is that, the whole idea when I had the logo design made was from the perspective of I'm helping someone else, but then they're serving their people. So I'm helping Leah with the tech, for example. She helps people who go through divorce and, whatever. Everybody's got their thing. It doesn't really matter. It's not even about Leah. It's about the different service providers, coaches, course creators, membership site owners. Everybody's got their things. So that's the concept of that logo, actually, is for that aspect. So that ripple effect, basically. So yeah. So yeah. Let's look at some comments.
So
Leah asked, should
Sarika,
I leave the term out?
should I leave
Oh,
the
we're
term?
talking about hoovering.
Oh, are we sure?
Yeah, I think hoovering, we're talking about that.
But I'd like to. Oh, Leah, I'm not sure when you say that term and leave it out. I'm not. I just want to make sure that we know what we're talking about. And Sarika had to go because it was midnight in
Yeah,
Spain.
yeah,
Sarika's in Spain. It's like definitely
totally.
a international cosmopolitan
I
kind of
know,
lady.
it's so good. We've
Cool.
got Bangladesh, we've got Spain, we've got Canada, US, UK, Philippines, India.
So great.
Yeah, yeah.
I hope my California accent and possibly slang is not. I hope I'm not speaking too fast for everybody
I
too. If
assure you,
they're
no one is complaining about your stuff, so we're all good.
okay.
Beth, you are incredible. This is so helpful. This is
Thank
great.
you. So glad.
Yay. I
Thank
will
you,
be
Lisa.
calling you. You made a client out of me. Absolutely. Over deliver.
Thank
Over
you.
deliver with zero expectation of return is the best strategy I know for client acquisition. So, and I think that's what Beth is doing here as well. Just.
I do want to mention. I know this is a copywriting review, but I was in Tribe, or sorry, the membership experience course that I met Iran through, or in which I met Iran, and I was just kind of putting out, hey, if I can help anyone of my fellow TMEers with copy, and I was helping a young gentleman who is a rock guitar god. You can't see my air guitar here, but I'm definitely better suited to harps than rock guitar. But he was this literally, he looked kind of like a Viking guitar god, big beard, long hair. He was in the UK, and I zoomed with him. He was like, "Oh, hello," and he was like this lovely, very very British, you know, guitar guy. But it's just so funny because his promo, pictures were him, like rocking out and the black jacket and the boots and the guitar. Lovely guy, composer, was looking to teach because he teaches all these things, and I helped him out. And he's just starting out. He doesn't have he teaches, but he hasn't monetized all of his amazing content yet. And I have, the idea of this has been taught to me through other coaches and teachers, but I wasn't worried about him hiring me. I was helping him, and he actually ended up not taking the full course. He kind of bailed out after the trial period, and he contacted me, and he's like, "Hey, I have someone who's doing a lot of courses online who really needs your help. I'd like to connect you." And sure enough, she hired me to rewrite some funnels. And really, I invite y'all to play with the idea of giving doesn't mean that you're going to receive back from that same person or situation you're giving in. So I really believe that when you put out energy, it'll come back to you. And that was, literally like, bam, case in point. It was like immediate. I had no idea this young musician was connected to anyone.
Yeah.
But he was literally connected to a whole group of people.
Yeah.
So anyway,
you have no idea who's connected to who, and you just don't know. And the world is so interconnected, especially now with the online. Everything is so interconnected.
Yeah.
And it's just good karma, honestly. It's just good karma, whether you call it karma or something else, or manifestation or whatever. It's just goodwill, and it all come back to you in some way, whether it's directly or indirectly. So, and we spoke about that with Jackson yesterday as well. Doing free work gives you, it comes back in testimonials, it comes back in goodwill and referrals, whatever. So, yeah. Awesome. Just so you know, we've been here pretty much on Zoom with a bunch of diehards since 10 a.m. this morning, US Eastern.
Wow,
We had
you guys.
an hour break between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. And that's the only break we had, just so you know. So for all the freaking diehards here, I don't know who's been here since the morning. I reckon Hillary has been here since the morning. Lisa has been here since the morning. I think Lisa has as well. I don't know how many Lisas, but we had at least a few Lisas from the beginning. But I think there's probably some others. So you guys are bloody troopers. But yeah, it's been literally since 10 a.m. this morning. So we're not going to do co-working tonight just because I think, like I'm all for hustle, but I think,
Well, you have to sleep too. Yes.
Yeah, I do. But, I think for everybody else as well, it's just, yeah, Hillary has been here since the beginning. Yeah, awesome. Die Hard. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, did you want to do more, or do you think we've
I'm up for it, and I can speed up a little bit. I've been getting a little bit. Oh gosh. So
who do we have left? We've done Leah.
So Lisa mentioned she does something in her. Ooh, okay. Do you want to?
Honey's here as well.
Click over to my screen and we'll run through Lisa's resource. Let me know when you can see my screen.
Yeah, we'll do this one, I think, quicker so we can kind of wrap up for the day, I reckon.
So Lisa,
and then just one, let me just do, let me just think, there was something I wanted to say, housekeeping thing. You'll come back to me. Oh, good. I'll let you just do this and then, yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Meanwhile, maybe you can peek at how to save the chat if it's possible. So I think it disappears. Lisa this is so darling. Using music to treat your dog's anxiety. Aww. Dog gone calm. How cute is that, you guys? Okay. And not sure if this would be a good question for people. Do people see this as piano keys? Because like I recognize it right away, but be curious to see yes, I see piano keys, or no, yes, I see it, or no. Because Lisa, that would be a little bit of a you could take that element out if people aren't recognizing it as piano keys, just because there's a lot going on. And sorry, this is so small, y'all. And your picture with the pooch is super cute. I love your music pajamas. Okay, that's just really darling. Okay. So we have fully justified text once again, and lines that have a lot of space between them. So a more comfortable layout for this would be left justified text and a smaller line space. So you can find that under line spacing. That will help bring this together. Okay, it's going to make it a lot easier to read because it's big, right? It's clear. It's also not. We'll see how long this is. It's not super printable, right? With the colored graphic behind. Gone calm, de-stress in the canine household. Okay. You're the one who has to turn on the music, unless you have a border collie. Okay, so here's the design point and this might be taken care of by changing your fonts, tightening them up and tightening the line spaces. So again, is the space between each line. So I'm talking about like the this space in between each line is the line spacing. Just want to be clear if people haven't played with that before. You definitely want to try to keep the text a little bit further away from the graphic. It's just a design thing. And now that I'm pointing all this stuff out, you will probably notice this in ads and that kind of thing. Sometimes there's an effect, right? Like the model is placed over a giant, Revlon in the background or something. That's an effect. Like that's a brand name, right? That's like an effect that's on purpose. But like the artist isn't expecting that you can see the word Revlon or Chanel. The artist knows you're going to know that word is Chanel because it's like a brand, and you're going to know it says Chanel. So just it's called like a, I don't know, it's called like a not sure what it's called, but a little padding, a little space above the doggy's head so that it's not right next to the text. If your text is set and you can't change your text, like in this case, the text will, Lisa will be adjusting the text, so that'll change. But if you can't, you could just make the dog a little smaller. And again, this is pretty tight. It's just, you could totally, it's readable. You can totally use it, but it's just letting you know if you want a little bit more professional look, your text is going to be a little further away from margins and from the graphics. And Lisa, I would suggest that you, for this body text, for the main text, that you make it a little bit smaller. Not a lot, like you don't have to. And the other issue is you really want the blue background. All right, I am not a fan of these. I know this shows up a lot in design. I'm not a fan of these quotes, these black quote marks. Again, we see the italics. Now this is a very clear font, so let me make this a little smaller. The italics aren't that hard to read, but it is still going to be clear, non-italic. And I know that people tend to put quotes in italics, but I tell you, especially for testimonials that are longer than a line, it is not going to be as quick and easy to scan and read. So you already have quotes around them. Let that indicate that it's a quote. Everybody knows, or in whatever way you quote things in your country that is appropriate. This is an example of grouping. I'm not seeing the name Victoria as grouped with a quote, so you want to keep Victoria Stillwell, the name of this person saying this quote, in the same font and get rid of these double black quotes. You want to group them together, make sure they're in the same font. Just put it in the same font as the quote and move it up close to the quote. That also fixes this issue where the person whose quote it is right next to the heading. So what do our eyes do? We kind of a little bit group these together more than not because of the way this is designed. Okay, so, and I wouldn't have this in black. I would put it in the same font. But then you have everything's white. But still, this is going to be the larger font that is going to indicate to our eye that it's a big heading. You might play with switching this to a white background with blue text, with blue font. Now, blue again is using blue again is a color of trust and calming. So it is a nice color to have, but you could play with that. I think that the font would be dark enough against the white that it would be plenty. This is cute. That would be plenty. It would stand out plenty. Okay, Thunderbolt is all great. Create training. Oh, okay. So we have this font. So again, when we have elements that are the same, it tells our brain that this is a similar type of information. So when you change the font size on a section, like we went from a really big heading here to a smaller heading here. I get why you did it because of the graphic. But to my brain, I'm like, oh, that's a subheading, because that's how our information is usually designed, at least in English. So when at all possible, keep your headings of the same type of information. Like separation anxiety is a category, fireworks is another category. Okay, you want to keep the same kind of information styled the same, just like we saw Sarika was styling her tips in a certain font, and she had like a little bit of a design issue with the funky font, but trying to keep like information in like design or layout. Now I'm also seeing sound phobia. Yeah. Oh, so cute. Yeah, it's two doggies have really good hearing, so they don't need loud. Okay. What's missing, y'all, from the end of this great lead magnet? And that is a call to action. Lisa, I would make this font smaller. You are probably going to have fewer pages. Let's see, I'm looking at you. It looks like you kind of want an issue per page. So that being said, I would still tighten up the font a little bit. It's really big. Decreasing the font size a little bit will allow you to have more, like, you don't necessarily want to fill the space. Like, go ahead and have some, a little more negative space. They actually call it like white space. Obviously, you've got a blue background here, but white space around your information. This is a little uncomfortable going to the side, so we want to make your margins a little bit bigger. And watch that you're changing fonts here. So I would make all the categories the same size font. I would actually probably make it more like this. I would bring this main body font smaller, bring in your margins, but make them the same on every page. All right, consistency is really something that kind of helps something flow. And I would add a call to action. It can be the next page. You can, yeah, download it here, or purchase here, what have you. My Zen Pet. That's awesome that you capitalize My Zen Pet. How easy is that to read, right, everyone? You don't have to capitalize the com and .com, because it's just like .com. It's just like, it just tells us it's a website. My Zen Pet is super clear. I'll remember that, right? So some of us are more visual than others, but the easier it is to see, the more likely we are to remember it, even if we don't have her lovely PDF open at the time. So add a page for the call to action, and you can move your contact information there. And I would probably make it a white page with blue text, and you might want to, if you want more blue, you can add a blue header, like a little bit. Okay. This volume 1. It might be volume 1 for you, but unless you are offering me volume 2 through 10, and that's really valuable for me to get the other volumes, I would probably leave it off, because it doesn't really serve me as a user. So this is so cute. Your logo with the little tail, very, very cute. So click here, listen. I'm not going to click that because I'm focusing on the lead magnets, but I really do like that she has a call to action above the fold on her title page, like on her cover page. That's awesome, because if people don't even read her information, they are clicking through to her, I'm assuming, her music. And one last tip, Lisa, I would make that to listen a non-serif font. Okay. Yeah, I like the to listen, because it's like, oh wait, that's music. Oh, cool. You know. So, music. Yeah. All right. We have Anita and Amy. Aron, can I just make a couple comments on Anita's?
Yeah, let's go for it. Yeah.
Real quick. I would not underline this top line. Sorry. I would not underline the top line. Bring the font down enough so that there is a little bit of space around the font within that square. I like the colors. Again, it's not going to be super printable. This is hard to read. The lines here are actually a little too close together, and the font is too close to the background. So we need more. The other thing too is that you have a mix of capitals, and then the last line is mixed caps. That's kind of busy for our, there's a lot going on, right? Make sure if you are capitalizing your title that you capitalize all of it, like this week, maybe just capitalize the W and the L and week and less. Make sure you do not, whoops. Oh, I did it again. I opened my mail. Quit mail. Sorry, guys. I'm too much of a clicker. Okay, make sure you do not put this in italics, the contact. Okay. Again, this the text in this box is too close to the border. It's just uncomfortable, right? Independence, it's kind of randomly capitalized. I would capitalize each first letter, like capitalize B, the Y and U, and better balance, capitalize the first letter. Through, I would spell it out, because through TRHU, like THRU is more of like a text thing. I wouldn't do that. Okay. I think we have a case of expertitis. Ding, 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 ding. That was my expertitis meter going off. Anita, I think you could cut down this text. You are not alone, and despite what you've been told, you can achieve better. I love that message. That is awesome. I would not underline this. So basic design point number 512. When you want to emphasize something, in this case, the brain in this sentence, I'm down here where it says the brain. You can bold it, okay? You can put it in italics if you want to emphasize one. You can underline it, but you don't want to do more than one of those things. So I would get rid of the underline, get rid of the italics, and just leave it bolded. It's still going to stand out plenty, believe me, because that's quite a bold there. For more information, that's not really an invite. I would invite you all to, I would nudge, I would actually push you a little bit to get stronger in your invitations, not just for more information, including my story and upcoming free resources, but invite you to check out my story, or get inspiration from my story and take advantage of my upcoming free resources. Oh, I would also get rid of the upcoming, because even if it is upcoming, just state it, because eventually it'll be there. My free resources regarding, I would just say free resources for better balance for a better life. The complete program. I would say, and free resources regarding the Better Balance for a Better Life program, period, capital. Drop me a line, contact me, email me, you can get more direct than that. Get rid of complete, because it's the same as program for us as a reader. And again, take off the bold is great, but take off the italics. Disclaimer, very important. Why do I need this? This program, okay. Anita, all of a sudden you're talking about this program. So keep in mind that I don't really know, you're talking about this program. So it sounds like you're talking about your actual Better Balance for a Better Life program. So you are kind of jumping ahead, assuming that I know about the program. So I think I would probably change the title to "Why Do I Need to Work on My Balance?" or "Why is balance really important for me?" or something like that, a little more direct, just instead of this. And I would say this work is for you if, right? Because saying this program is assuming that I know all about the program already. And the bottom line, get ready to take the first step. No getting ready. I invite you, and without italics, I invite you to take the first step towards better balance for a better life. Okay, so just a little bit more direct. The other design point here is that we have all this text is bolded, and it's a little bit actually harder to read when things are bolded. It's a little bit easier to read on the dark background, but bold is actually a little bit thick for us. It's not a real effective weight. It's okay for headings or for emphasis, but putting everything in bold, y'all, be careful, watch that. Some people do it in everything they do, and it doesn't actually help readability. If you, in this case, you could just make the font a little bigger if you want it to be a little bit easier to read. Anyway. Okay, so sorry, all these strategies, similar. Okay, instead of about the author, Anita, I would like to have this as so this is part of your, you can leave this in. I would, I would almost maybe leave this for people who want to find out about you. Might leave this page off. But I do like, Anita did a very smart thing in that she has some call to actions peppered through. So I would make the calls to action a little bit more kind of strong, a little bit stronger invitations. This is a lot of information. Anita, I think you could give us a lot less, and it's still going to be really powerful. So keep that in mind. Again, you don't want to bold all your text. Bonus, that's fun. I like this graphic, but I would find a different bonus graphic that kind of matches the tone of your of the images a little bit better. You could leave that though. I just would probably change it a little bit. This schematic of the foot doesn't necessarily serve because you're not explaining like all the 1, 2, 3, I don't think. So I would actually just make these pictures bigger and get rid of the foot anatomy looking thing, I think, for this. Because that's something you can explain when you work with people or they go through their program. Okay, so I'm kind of up there about the author. It's it's okay to have. I would still cut it down. And then you might even start this page with a call to action and then a couple paragraphs of just, about me or something, or about Anita. Okay. So again, about the author, about Anita would be much more like personal. All right. I hope that quick zip through was helpful. Anita, you can definitely leverage a lot of the other comments I made in other PDFs about grouping and that kind of thing.
Amazing. Cool. So
I only had one more, but that was from Amy and Hillary are partnering to do an event, it sounds like. So Amy and Hillary, I can give you a little feedback on your graphic, but we already covered a couple of community blooms yesterday. So
yeah,
I hope that's
good. And Amy, we did her landing page earlier. Elena did that, so that was good.
Yay!
Yeah, so yeah, totally. If you had your page reviewed and you're not an all access pass, realize that you'll have a recording for like 24 hours and then it'll be gone. So I definitely suggest you sign up for the all access pass. Yeah, so definitely, if you want to grab that, that'll be amazing. And I mean, I would love my goal is to, I already spoke to Beth yesterday. My goal is to have her, whether it's a pay per session or pay review or whatever structure we end up deciding, to do something that my members can also benefit from on a regular basis, not just this summit. So yeah, any when people join my membership, when people buy the tickets, that's all contributes to being able to fund, being able to add more value to things like that, because this is really valuable for a lot of people, getting this detailed feedback. So yeah, awesome job. Yeah, awesome. You've said as well. Amy's on the road. Okay, that's good. Yeah, if you want to do their thing now, just to finish this off, then let's do it. Might as well.
Oh, okay. Don't you need a break before the 7 p.m.?
No, there's no 7 p.m. This is the last thing for the day.
Oh, sorry. I'm like thinking there's a 7.
No.
Okay.
No, we've been at here since 10 a.m. So I think we'll sign up.
Right? Like enough is enough.
Yeah, I think we'll sign off after here. I could see people dropping off a little bit as well. So we're coming to the end of people's. And there's a decent break. Like tomorrow, we're starting at 12 noon as well. So let me just show what's tomorrow's schedule while you're getting organized there.
Yeah.
So give me 1 second. Just stay where you are, and I'll just. Okay. So let me just share my screen on tomorrow's plan. So 12 noon, we have. Yeah, 12 noon, we have Dan Barak, who's the CEO of TextBlaze. This is one of those sessions I'm half excited about the session. I'm way more excited about what we're going to do after that session. So we'll do a session, half hour, 45 minutes, an hour. We'll see how long that will go. But then what we're going to do, we're going to go straight into co-working, and we're going to implement It's going to be a training session really on how to use TextBlaze for text automations. I don't care who you are, what your business is. I guarantee you're going to want to implement what I'm going to show you in this session. It is like such a time saver. It is ridiculous. It's one of the easiest things you could do to save yourself time immediately and be more efficient, more productive, have better follow-up. It's so good, right? It's so good. So you're going to love this one. So that's at 12 noon tomorrow. And then after that, we're going to do Veronica Yeager, and this is going to be a session specifically on publishing your book on Amazon. She's my go-to person on publishing books on Amazon. I know we've had a bunch of discussions. This is really relevant because Beth, like for example, when Beth reviewed Barbara's session yesterday, one ebook was like, it was so big, she might as well sell it, right? So, and then it came up a question. Barbara was asking in the co-working session, should I sell it on Amazon? And I said, well, just sell it on your website, but sell it on Amazon too. Like, there's no reason you shouldn't repurpose things. We had a whole discussion about monetization and different ways to leverage the one asset. So, if you've got an ebook already, like we've been reviewing lead magnets, if you already have an ebook, but you're selling, there's no reason you can't publish on Amazon. And Veronica is a total pro at getting that done. So she helped me publish my book and strongly recommend it. So we'll do a session on that. And then I think, what's the next session after that? Let me just have a look. I'll tell you. I don't remember. Veronica. So it's going to be then Veronica at 2. Yeah, totally.
Going with the publisher.
Oh, could you repeat that again?
Sorry, you make a lot more money on a book when you self-publish than when you go with a publisher.
100%. Yep. And then when it's done, we have a huge time frame, like time break. Like it'll be like a lot of co-working at that stage because the next session is going to be 10 p.m. Eastern. So I don't think many people are going to stick around. I know Beth is a bit of a night owl, so she'll probably definitely be around. But we're going to do the session about finances, which I think a lot of you would love. I know I'm going to enjoy it because this is how I honestly set up my goals originally. And I still, every month, I do my numbers. So this is really important.
That's such a good practice.
Yeah, totally. And I can tell you, like, I'm doing another launch with someone else. Like, this is not one of my clients. And we did numbers based on things like that, and this is like going to be $100,000 launch. But it only happens when you actually do your numbers, the conversions, the this, the that. So, and this is a little bit more advanced numbers, but it all starts with some numbers, starting with your own numbers versus the business numbers. It's so important. So I think people are going to enjoy this session as well. And this is tomorrow. So again, it's going to be Dan Barak and then Veronica and then Phoebe, basically. So there you go. So that's tomorrow.
Ron, can you go back to Dan's image?
Yeah.
And what were you going to say about, and co-working after or in between?
Yeah, so Dan is 12 noon. Veronica is 2 p.m. And then, 2 p.m. Yeah, 2 p.m. And then co-working, because there's a break, there's a 7-hour gap. So we'll do co-working until your brain is fried. And then we'll do Phoebe, the last session, basically, if you want to stick around.
There is co-working after Dan's, right?
After Dan as well, yeah.
Cool, awesome.
That's right.
Okay, so I wanted to point out, especially on the Dan graphic. So I just wanted to, so this applies to the next thing I'm going to review, because it's just like a flyer graphic. I wanted to point out how, like, the grouping of things, right? There's a lot going on, but I would say that things are graphically grouped very clearly. .com truths. okay, that's like italicized for emphasis, right? But it works because it's big and like that's fine. Summit, guest speaker, like everything, like it's not too busy. Everything has enough space and enough to be clear. I really think it's, this is well balanced. The colors are great, but the information is set off really well. Register now. You don't need the www, right? We're talking about that. Yeah. Summit.comtruths.com. Dan's name, his title, and then the subject are all different, but it works. Like the different colors work because it's clear enough. It's it's like you're telling our brains that the name is different than his title is different than the description of his presentation. So I'm just pointing this out as like a really nice design. There's enough space. Dan is his picture is cropped a little bit, but it's comfortable. It's not like his you cropped the end of his arm off and his what I mean, like it's like comfortably done. There's space around it. These are like design things to think about. Again, super advanced. Anything we have looked at would be fine to use as it is, but this is just for optimization, right? Yeah. Optimizing what you're doing.
Totally.
So when you're ready, I think the next one up.
Awesome. Cool. Just to answer one comment that we have, I'll just let me just put. Oh, hang on. I need to put this properly. Just to answer one question, there's no wheel drawing today because I'm only doing it after the X-Day speaker. So after Dan tomorrow, we'll do it. And that's all. After Dan will be the next one. So tomorrow, that will be when the next thing is we're going to do. So basically after, the CEO speakers is when we do the wheel drawing. The guest experts like Beth and Veronica and Phoebe, we don't do that. So there you go.
Okay. I'd like to. Lisa, definitely want more professional look, right? I mean, it can only help to, and like I said, do not, I would absolutely want you to hold back on putting out your lead magnet as it is. Get it out there. Lead magnet is something you can always, adjust and replace, right? So please don't let any of these comments stop you from getting what you have out, and then you can adjust in the background and then like refresh it. So just real quickly, I wanted to great. Cindy mentioned, as an older person, the bold is easier for me to read. Cindy, I hear you, but so in that font, as it is white against, whoops, you're seeing like my whole screen, right? Sorry. So the bold font in white on dark background was a little easier to read than the thinness of how it looked in that particular font on the dark background with white. But I'm going to tell you that compared to a just like different font or a actually, I'm trying to remember. Anita. Okay, so Anita's was a white font on a dark background. It's not super. Sorry, guys. It's not the greatest for legibility. It's not the greatest for like printing, right? So that's an issue into itself. But I will tell you that bolding is for emphasis, right? So when a font is created and made, the font, the artist or the font creator actually doesn't make the font in the way that it's really great to read if it was paragraphs and paragraphs of bolded font. So it's not going to be as clear as, say, like another font. So it's like hard to explain, like the clarity of it and the like spacing of it and how easy it is to like read a bunch of it is actually not going to be great. It would be better to cut down the text and use a different font or use the same font that you can just make a bigger font size. Okay, so that's why I'm recommending, like, everybody's like, well, yeah, this is easier to read if it's bolded, but that's just because the font size isn't big enough or it's a really thin font. There are different there are fonts that are actually a little bit differently weighted even without bold on them. Okay, so that's kind of like a weird aside, but a little bit of my pet peeve when I see things that are like all in bold, because it actually really isn't, it doesn't serve the information as well. Okay, Ron, am I sharing my screen? Sorry, thank you for adjusting the view.
There you go.
Can you see the graphic? Yeah, I want everyone to think back on the graphic of Dan's that we were looking at, of Dan's talk, and how kind of separately we could see those elements and clearly the different elements of that design, how clear they were. So when you look at your content, this is a workshop for the lovely Amy and Hillary, and I don't know Rosie, but lovely Rosie as well. I'm seeing like an awful lot going on. So what leads to the kind of busyness is different fonts, different colors, different sizes, and different weights of font. Okay, we have some are bold, some are not bolded. If you, excuse me, if you look at the two lines, join us for an interactive workshop, this is actually what I'm talking about. And I am, so Cindy, I'm not great with remembering names. Cindy, great point that bold was easier for her to read. But this bold on these two lines, join us for an interactive workshop that will leave you feeling connected, creative, and confident. It's harder to read than the top line because the bolding makes all of the letters closer together and it's harder for our eyes to see it. So when you thicken up the lines of the letters, it actually makes some of the letters harder to read, and it generally makes words hard to read. That's why it's great, for emphasizing and not for a whole paragraph of text. Okay, so it's a nice thing to use on like headings. Sometimes you want to call it as headings. Sometimes it doesn't work. Like, definitely compare, can I make this heading just a little bit bigger, or does it really look, better and nice and clear and good in the bolded? So, ladies, I would absolutely cut down on the amounts of fonts you're using. I'm going to make this a little bigger so we can kind of zoom in. Again, we see now this font, I think, Hillary, I'm trying to remember if that was one you used in your lead magnet. It might be a bit of like a branded font, but I'm actually kind of hoping it's not, or that you can adjust that. Because what I'm looking at here is that all these letters are kind of doubled. And I don't think it's a real clear font. I don't love it. I want to see the main thing as we zoom out again, the name of the workshop, Connection Workshop. I want to see that as in a clear font. It's a little doubled, and it might be because it's light on dark versus dark font on light background. Not sure. I am not a fan of putting things in quotes if they're not like a testimonial or kind of, and that's what she said kind of thing, you know, like if you're kind of tongue-in-cheek kind of thing, you quote marks can be fun and playful. But I would not put the top line in quotes. I would say if you're feeling, well, sometimes people, Ron, you have also had an awful lot of training in marketing. Would you default to the question here, or would you leave it, or would you change it to a statement?
Are you feeling lonely, uninspired, and tired on the top?
Yeah. Because a lot of coaches say questions are great.
Yeah, I mean,
because my idea would be, if you're feeling lonely, uninspired, and tired, join us for an interactive workshop that will leave you feeling connected, creative, and confident. And I would maybe bold join us. So again, this font, let me zoom in here. This font is not that easy to read. I think, yeah, I would actually leave this top 3 lines in this top font. I would take off the quotes, and I would say, if you're feeling lonely, uninspired, and tired, or just have that top line saying, feeling lonely, comma, uninspired, comma, tired, question mark, then join us for an interactive workshop that will leave you feeling connected, creative, and confident. And I would, because I want this to be kind of like a heading or a title, like a headline, I would
take
my
off thoughts. The words lonely, uninspired, and tired. Like, if you were to remove the "are you feeling," I think just those 3 words, lonely, uninspired, tired, question mark, that true. Alone will make it so there's more space to make that bigger, that text bigger, which is probably from a headline perspective.
Well, okay, yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I'm worried about the grouping because we have so many things going on.
Totally.
I kind of want to group. I don't necessarily want the top line to be alone. I want to group it with the second and third lines. So, but I do like shortening up quite a bit. Lonely, uninspired, and tired. And then join us for an interactive workshop. That will leave you feeling is a little long, but that will leave you, or how about just to get connected, creative, and confident. So if you use all of that as kind of like treat it like a headline, so the line spacing is the same, the font's the same. So again, lonely, uninspired, and tired, question mark. Next line, join us for an then join us for an interactive workshop to get connected, creative, and feeling. You want to leave the feeling in. Sorry, this is live TV. Definitely, probably want to leave that will leave you feeling connected, creative, ampersand, confident, no period. That's what I would do. It's a little long, but I would group them together so the top 3 lines are all the same. And I would not worry about the period at the end because you want it to be like what they read at the top. I know your brand is Community Bloom, but I really think that you want to move your brand lower and just say Connection Workshop, because this is like obviously a flyer, like announcing a workshop, right? We kind of, when we look at things like this, we know, oh, this is like an event announcement. So this is real size. I would take off your brand here and move it lower. And then I would change this font to something a little clearer. And for sure the font below Connecting Hearts, Minds, and Bodies. This is also going to be the third thing that you have that's 3. So Connecting Hearts, Minds, and Bodies, that's a lovely phrase. But you already told me that it's an interactive workshop that'll leave me feeling connected, creative, and confident. So I would suggest, because you want to maximize the number of people that will get the message of this flyer, okay, I would get rid of Connecting Hearts, Minds, and Bodies there. And I would actually bring register today, early bird pricing ends 9/27. I would actually bring it up in that place right below connection workshops, because that's your call to action. All right, connection workshop, singular. I would definitely do that. And I might even bring the time up above your lovely pictures as well, because some people might be like, well, what, like, and is it online or in person? That's another one. Online or in person. These days, that's a really important distinction, because we kind of can't assume either way, really. I might bring up, because this is an informational, what, when, like, or register, or maybe under the workshop, actually, yeah, that's what I do. Under the workshop, connection workshop, I would say Saturday, 10/8, 12:30, or 12 to 3 p.m. EST. That's what I would do. And then I would put register today, early bird pricing ends 9/27. And I would want to say something like, right above your pictures, join community experts. And then Amy, Rosie, and Hillary. Hearts, Minds, and Bodies. That's interesting. I love that. Actually, that information would stand out more if it's on the bottom, because I kind of skipped over it with my eyes when I was scanning through the flyer. So you have to keep that in mind too, that I think that having your pictures lower down, and then maybe like just communitybloom.org /connect on the bottom, I think that would actually work nicely, because this .com is going to be nice and dark compared to the font of your names and specialties. And again, I would not use this font for your names, because it's hard to read small. Okay. And obviously, if you change things around, you're going to have to change the color. So that's a little bit, I'm throwing a wrench in your design here. But yes. And with your logo, if there's any way to work your, possibly on the bottom under Community Bloom, maybe under your website, you could put your logo and the name Community Bloom and the logo. So it might be, and you want that to be all in one color, because the beautiful woman blooming image, you want that to connect visually with your name. So you want to have those on the same color font. All right, I guess that's it. And Rosie is looking, if there's any way you could tilt Rosie a little bit. She doesn't have to be straight up and down, because that's a personality thing. But I would just visually, I would tilt Rosie a little bit less to the left, because it's a little bit uncomfortable when we see, I want to point this out, when we see people kind of banging up against the border of design elements. That's just a little bit of like a psychological thing. Right?
Cool.
Yeah. All right, that's it. Thank you.
Amazing. All right, we're gonna.
You guys want the real drawing? Oh, that was.
Cute little features this way video has.
Yes.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much for everything today. That was awesome. And yesterday, amazing. And let's reconvene after Phoebe's session when you've done your numbers. Let me know. Let me know what's it going to cost me to have you do this on a more recurring basis.
Oh, you're putting the pressure on. Calling me out. No pressure.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah, that's right. That's right. Exactly. Yeah, huge feedback from Hillary. Absolutely, what incredible eye, Beth. Thank you.
Yeah.
Amazing. So grateful to speak to you all one color.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, Hillary, you can have your the title of the event in a different color because it's nice and big, and it'll call it out. So just play with that when you're.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Beth.
Thank you, Bonnie. Oh,
Bonnie. Feedback so thorough and helpful. Absolutely, we concur. And yeah, awesome, awesome. So yeah, I literally don't remember what was my housekeeping issues. All I know is tomorrow we got more sessions starting at 12. So we'll just do that. Text automations. You know, this is so funny. I'll tell you a little anecdote. I did a survey in my Facebook group probably about 2 months ago. And I said, because I had 7 courses for the summit, landing page in a day, email sequence in a day, pretty links in a day, all that stuff. Email sequence in a day, landing page in a day, lead magnet in a day were like the top 3 winners, and everybody voted on that. And everything else is like 0, maybe 1%. Like nobody cares. And it's so like there's.
What were the 3?
Landing page in a day, email sequence in a day, and lead magnet in a day.
Nice.
The other ones, text automations, pretty links, flip ebook, and thank you page in a day was like almost nobody voted on those, right? Which it's okay, but also I feel that to some degree it's also my responsibility to tell you when, like sometimes people they, you know, I know what you want, but sometimes there's things you need, but you just don't know you need.
And like thank you page pops out as one of those
things. Thank you page, like oh my god, I couldn't believe like 0%, not one person said thank you page, and I'm like, this is one of the most important assets of your business, a thank you page. So anyway, but text automations is one of those things that are, you just don't realize how good it is until you start really making use of it. It's phenomenal, phenomenal. And I'll show you behind the scene different use cases that I've done during this summit. Like I know I've had some people message me saying, you know, how did you manage to like run all this? Like there's certain parts I use text automations to save so much time. You know, there's just so many things, you know, because I'm getting a lot of emails. I'm getting about 100 emails a day at the moment, right? Like it's freaking madness, right? But I have text automations which save me so much time. So anyway, we'll talk about that tomorrow. So definitely show up for that. And and then if you want more Beth, if you want more Beth in your life, there will be a blog about Beth and what she does. We'll figure out her finding members launch for her membership and stuff. And also if we end up doing a collaboration where she's in my membership or something like that, then obviously you want to look at my membership basically. So
you want to look at Iran's membership regardless.
Yeah. Totally.
And a little free bit, someone mentioned talking about my voice. I am a singer, copy that sings, right? My editing is harping editor because I'm a harpist. You know, you got to get cheesy names when you're doing editing. But I'm on YouTube. I did a CD of lullabies in 10 different languages. So you can look me up on YouTube to get some lullabies for a soothing sleep tonight. We're full service here.
Love it. Awesome. Question Yourself said, thanks, you guys are the best. Han said, great insights, thanks for your expertise.
Thank you.
Awesome. Alrighty. Good night, everybody. And I'll see you all tomorrow at 12 noon.
And thanks, y'all. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.